Hi, this is Michelle Sam from Sammy Wong's Kitchen. Today I am going to be showing you how to make a really healthy, delicious Boston brown bread. And I was inspired to show you this recipe after coming back from Nantucket and enjoying some Boston brown bread at a restaurant there. The Boston brown bread that I usually make is a healthier version, which has sourdough in it as well as kefir. Boston brown bread, as the name implies, started in Boston, and in Boston, even though I spent many years in Boston, nobody ever ate Boston brown bread. I actually grew up with Boston brown bread in South Africa. Go figure. All I remember from South Africa is the Boston brown bread was like a cylinder. And when I learned how to make Boston brown bread, you make it in a big can like this. So this is a large baked beans can, and I use those beans, and now this is my steaming tin for the Boston brown bread. So this Boston brown bread is steamed, and because it is a big tall can, it needs to go into a tall pot. So a soup pot is good. So I'm using this particular soup pot, and I use a trivet, but it's too tall when the trivet is this way. I just flip the trivet this way when it's steaming and place my can right onto the trivet. And as long as I just have a little bit of space between the bottom of this pot and the can, you're good. For the ingredients, we will need some cornmeal, and cornmeal is very different from cornstarch, so make sure you get the cornmeal. And then the whole wheat flour and some kefir. I like substituting kefir for buttermilk because of the probiotics in the kefir, and probiotics are really good for you because it helps stabilize your biomes, which contributes towards gut health. And the better gut health we have, it helps in our immune system and everything that stems from a good immune system. So that is why I like using kefir and sourdough with this delicious bread. What we're going to do is hydrate the cornmeal and the whole wheat flour so that the texture is a little more moist, because the cornmeal really needs to be hydrated. So while you make the levain, you can also hydrate the cornmeal. In addition to those three ingredients, we also need some orange juice and raisins. We also need molasses, the levain, and the way this Boston brown bread is being made is to take advantage of the properties and benefits of levain. So it's going to undergo a long fermentation process in order to break down the flours. We also need some rye flour, so it makes it really a healthy bread. And baking powder, salt, allspice, ground cinnamon, and vanilla extract. So let's get started. While you're making the levain, we're going to hydrate the cornmeal and the whole wheat flour, as well as the raisins. So in a large bowl, first what we're going to do is add our kefir, your corn flour, the whole wheat flour, and mix this and allow both the whole wheat flour and the cornmeal to hydrate in the kefir. What we would like to do ideally is hydrate this for at least 3 hours, but preferably overnight. We're also going to be hydrating our raisins with the orange juice. So pour your orange juice into raisins. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is butter our can. So I'm just going to take my stick of butter and rub it up and down the sides of the can as well as the bottom so that it won't stick. And there we have our buttered can. In another bowl, add your molasses, your active sourdough levain, 100 grams of rye flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and because we're not sifting, try to sprinkle it rather than just throwing it in a big clump. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of allspice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Mix this up well so everything is combined. Now, the batter is going to be really stiff, but that's all right, because what we're going to do is hydrate this with the dehydrated raisins. And once this is well combined, the hydrated cornmeal and whole wheat flour that we have here in a different bowl, we're going to add that into our molasses mixture and then combine everything together. And the goal for combining this is to make sure that it's not streaky, but it's really well combined so it has a uniform color. Okay, and once it's well combined, we're going to place this in our prepared tin or can. And now that our batter is in the can, what we're going to do is just shake it and so that we can level it off. I'm then going to cover my batter in this can, and I am going to allow this to sit for at least 8 hours or overnight so that it can rise. And not only is it going to rise, but the sourdough is going to work its magic with the flours. Okay, here is the batter after 8 hours at room temperature, and is now ready to be steamed. Cover it with the foil again and go over to the stove of boiling water. Okay, so in your pot of boiling water, I'm going to put the can of Boston brown bread in, and I'm going to reduce the heat just so that it is still steaming and boiling. What it needs to be is a rolling boil, and you need to be able to see the steam come out, because what you don't want is just to have it simmer, which is not going to be hot enough for the heat to make the batter rise. So this is going to steam for 1 hour. All right, so after an hour, take this out and lay it on its side until it cools down, because as it cools, it'll shrink and separate from the can, and then you can turn it out onto a cooling rack. Enjoy and bon appetit! More recipes can be found on sammywongsKitchen.com or social media. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks!